wouldn't this be interesting if something we don't know about is going on behind the scenes, where Goldberg will be upset at this thing, and maybe when they do in Vancouver, British Columbia, when they do the Survivor Series, maybe they'll have Bret Hart as a guest again, and maybe Bill Goldberg will just come out and they'll do a stare down.
All right, let's talk about some other stuff here. Raw, we just found out recently that Raw will be 2 hours instead of 3 hours for at least the next few months as we go through the rest of the year. I'm happy to hear that if you want to know the truth of the matter, because I said this recently on their last pay-per-view, that the pacing, the time length of the pay-per-view, everything was great because it was short. And to know that we're going back to a 2-hour Raw is really something to hear. Bill, are you excited about that, or would you rather see it stay at 3?
I think so. Truthfully, I'm not privy to that decision being definitely put in at this time, because the USA Network, which it's still on, what are they doing with that other hour? This is something fairly new news to me, depending upon when you're watching this.
Teddy, you were about to say something?
No, I was just listening to you guys.
Okay. Let's see. WWE just recently.
Where did you get that? Where did that come from?
Sportskeeda is where I got it from, so I'm reporting what they had here. That Raw will be 2 hours instead of 3 for the next few months. I do believe that was. I thought I read that somewhere yesterday myself, as well.
There may be something else going on the USA Network, possibly that.
Yeah, this is only for the time period before they go to Netflix, and then the question is, are they going to be 2 or 3 hours when they go to Netflix? And nobody's mentioned that yet, I don't believe. So, all right, WWE was back in Calgary just recently, and Natalya made her return, which is always good to see. Teddy, any stories about Natalya you can tell us or share with us?
No, not really. Natalya is just a real sweetheart. Had the opportunity to work with her for a long time, and she was just always a doll. Man, every time you meet her, she's had a great attitude, always happy, smiling, and it's just a great person, man. I don't know no backstage stories on Natalya. All I can tell you one thing about Natalya: you don't want to piss her off. Okay.
Oh, really? She's got a temper, huh?
Well, she's tough.
She's a shooter.
I believe it.
Yeah, she's a real shooter, brother. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
She was trained in the dungeon.
Well,
so no, you don't want to tick her off there at all.
Yeah. Bill, you have any stories with Natty?
Yeah, I've done several interviews with her. She's great. She's very honest. She absolutely loves her family. She was so devastated when her dad, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, had passed away. He was a very big inspiration on her. And to see her on Monday Night Raw recently, reunited with Bret, was it was wonderful. And just, I got to tell you, when I saw Bret Hart come out on Monday Night Raw, I got goosebumps. He looked terrific. He was tan. When he got in the ring, a lot of people said, well, he's not thinking as well due to all the concussions. He was terrific in the ring. And it was just so great to see the legend of Bret Hart back there. What I couldn't believe, though.
No, wait, you're going to jump ahead of me. I can see you jumping ahead of me already.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to bring up that Gunther. Is that where you were going?
Yeah, Gunther brought up the G word.
Yeah, Gunther came in and got in Bret's face and basically said, "You'll always be a close second to my all-time favorite, Bill Goldberg."
Yeah, the G word.
and a lot of people now online, I've seen this today, everybody's speculating, oh, that was Triple H getting back at Bret for saying things about Triple H. Yeah. But that was a line I'm sure Bret knew was coming, and it fit. I mean, and Bret kind of laughed it off a little bit, so it played very well, but it was good to see Bret back in there. And Teddy, did you have a chance to see him when he made the return?
No.
Energy. It's the first time I've seen Bret in a long time look like he had energy.
Yes.
He wasn't so slumped over and tired looking. He had energy. He looked good on TV. So whatever you're doing, Bret, keep it up.
And he was probably happy that the ex-boss was not there. anymore because, but the thing with Goldberg, wouldn't this be interesting if something we don't know about is going on behind the scenes where Goldberg will be upset at this thing, and maybe when they do in Vancouver, British Columbia, when they do the Survivor Series, maybe they'll have Bret Hart as a guest again, and maybe Bill Goldberg will just come out and they'll do a stare down or something. Bret's not going to be able to wrestle anymore. We know that, but that would
I'd be surprised if that ever happens. I think, as much as I've heard, I'd be drop dead surprised if that's the case.
Yeah.
Main event, Jey Uso. We've been talking about Jey and the fact that maybe his push hasn't been everything that it should be. And Mr. Yeet looks like he will face off now against Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental Championship at Bad Blood. Here's my concern. Teddy, tell me if this concern is there. We have Braun Breaker, who is a fairly new Intercontinental Champion, going up against main event Jey Uso. Do you see Jey winning that belt, or are we going to see Jey lose another match?
Well, I don't know. That's a really tough question because right now we don't know what direction they're going to go in with Jey Uso. I just don't know. But to me, I could be wrong. I see Braun Breaker holding on to the title.
Mm-hmm. I agree too. Bill, you feel the same way?
I'm having my tick cracked.
Let me bring this up too while we're talking about main event Jey Uso and people like Cody Rhodes, Solo Sikoa.
Well, Mac, in answer to your question, they're grooming Braun Breaker for bigger things. I think eventually that he's going to be feuding with a lot of different people. He's got that whole attitude. He's got that killer type of attitude. And I know people want to see him against Braun Strowman. So Jey Uso, if something happens there, I don't think he's going to win, but I don't think he's going to win the title. I think there's going to be some shtick involved there.
Here's my feeling about Jey and Cody Rhodes, Solo Sikoa, people like that who were in the Bloodline storyline. I feel like all these guys are just kind of meandering around on the card. There's really nothing going on with any of them. Even Cody, I'm sorry, but Cody versus Solo is not a big deal to me. I could care less. I'd rather see Jacob Fatu in there against Cody.
I have said
that would be the match.
Over and over, the match has got to be Jacob Fatu. When Solo came out in a suit and faced Cody in a suit, it looked like two college guys. It just didn't have that wrestling feel. And Solo didn't feel like that animalistic thing that Jacob Fatu is.
And I saw that, and there was no heat there whatsoever. Nothing.
No, and it's pretty bad when people like Cody Rhodes, who is your champion, and he's going to have a match that you can care less about. You're more entertained by what's happening with CM Punk and Drew McIntyre over a bracelet of all damn things, a bracelet. But they have made people buy into this story so much, and the guys have done such a damn good job with it that fans want to see more. And you're outshining your own champion in the company right now.
But that's good. That's good. That's very good. Okay, then that makes them, we got to step it up and get something going with our champion here. Yep. And so those guys, CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, those guys are seasoned veterans, brother. They know how to make this thing work, and they know how to sell. That's what Vince's top dog right there, sell. Okay, then once you learn how to do that, you ain't got nothing to worry about. Sometimes you don't even have to open your mouth. You can just do a facial, and it'll explain everything. I used to do it all the time.
The championship match doesn't have to be the draw. Many times, back in the days when Bob Backlund was champion, they'd have a match with Dusty Rhodes in the main event instead of Bob Backlund. These things happen. You don't have to focus just on the championship, but compelling would be Jacob Fatu against Cody, because people are going to think Cody's going to be torn to pieces.
I just feel like they've been pulling some of the guys back a little bit, waiting for the storyline with The Rock to reignite again. I just feel like they've kind of made up stories to go in between. Like they didn't really think all this through. Solo Sikoa, look, he did a great job during the Bloodline run, but he can't. I don't buy him as the leader of a group.
He's too nice.
Yeah.
Too nice.
He comes across, even when he's trying to be mean, he looks like a good guy, and that's going to be hard to overcome.
And that's what he is. He is a good guy.
Yeah. Let's talk about somebody else in professional wrestling that we don't talk about.
we don't have to.
No. Who are we talking about?
Hulk Hogan was recently on Logan Paul's podcast talking about his life in wrestling. And Hogan touched on forgiveness, citing that Chris Benoit as an example of how forgiving fans can be. He says, quote, if Chris Benoit can do the crap he did and the fans still love him, they're very forgiving. They'll forgive you. Have fans forgiven Chris Benoit?
What did he do for the fans to need to forgive him? What did
I guess killing his wife is what they're talking about.
Well, like I said, we don't know what went down there.
Thank you.
We don't know what happened in that house. None of us were in there. So, and the people that do know, they're gone. So we can't quote on that. Yeah, I mean, you can't say nothing. I don't know. What do you say?
You know what? I said something on Chris Jericho's podcast a year or so after that people thought I was crazy. And then some people said, maybe you're right. If, he was accused of murdering his wife and his son. Husbands and wives, unfortunately, sometimes kill each other, but I couldn't put it together that he would kill his son, his little son, okay? If a professional hit person wanted to kill all three of you and make it look like you did it, they know how to do that. So I'm sorry that I have to talk about this again, but I don't know how he could do that to his son, whether he had a brain injury or whatever. I don't know. None of us know. And it's in my book. It's in my book too. And people just think I'm crazy for saying it, but
we don't know. It's just like Eddie said in the beginning, we just don't know. I feel bad about that too, because people will give me crap because I'll say things like that with Teddy on our other show, Road Trip After Hours, and Teddy and I will talk about Vince, and it's hard for Teddy to talk bad about Vince because Teddy didn't know that guy. All he knows is the guy he worked with. So as far as he's concerned, he's still the innocent, individual that he knew when he worked there. And it's the same thing with a lot of sports figures, or anybody really. That if they get blamed on something but never proven, suddenly we have to wash them away from our history and forget they ever existed. I don't buy that.
Unfortunately, Hulk, who's a very good friend of mine, and he's right behind me here, as you know. Unfortunately, sometimes he says things without this going into gear properly, and he gets in trouble.
He tells a lot of tales, and they catch up with him eventually. Let me bring up one more
question.
Do what?
What you gonna do, brother? Never mind.
Check out BrainBuster, the daily quiz that tests your WWE knowledge with winning streaks, stats, and more. It's time to see if you're up for the challenge.